somebody.
Oh,
Oh,
Deb, there's Deb. Okay, and we should be at 7 o'clock. Let me just check. Yeah, we're at 7 o'clock, so we can start. So Annie, if you can just, do your thing.
Excuse me. Today is Thursday, July 8th, 2021. The time is 7 p.m. This is the Lake Management Committee meeting, and I just want to let everyone know that all meetings of the Lake Management Committee are recorded.
Okay, that said, we have, looks like two guests. I did not yet get Kim's last name. There's a Kim and an Ann Griskus.
I think she said it was Jenks.
I'm sorry, who said?
I believe she said it was Kim Jenks.
Okay. All right. And has everybody had a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Do we have any comments?
yes. I've been listed as a non-voting member again.
You know, sometimes I use old formats when I'm doing the minutes, depending on what device I'm on. So
I'll send you the new one.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry
And
about that, Paul.
Rick is a no, so that we fixed that. All right. Other than that, anything else?
Now I make a recommendation. We accept them as noted with the
Mike
Paul's
C.
comment.
Okay,
I'll second that.
Deb. And all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous. I'll run down to affirm it. Norm,
Aye.
Mike Coombs,
Aye.
Mike Coombs. Okay, Mike DeBay.
Aye.
Myself, aye. Scotty. Scotty. Deb,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and Paul.
Aye.
Okay. All set there. Public comment. Do we have any input from the guests?
Yeah, they're both on silent right now.
They're both muted.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe she said no comment, but
oh, okay. All right. And Kim, no, any comment?
No comment.
Okay. All right, we're all set then. So none there. And we do not have Jerry tonight. I saw him today. Just FYI, everybody, is Dennis Clark's last day was today. He's
Oh.
going to Westfield.
What?
Weights and measures full time.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was doing weights and measures part-time on Channel 15 and the conservation coordinator position, all part-time. And he got offered a full-time position in Westfield because the weights and measures person is retiring.
Oh, man, we're losing a
So-
valuable resource.
Oh, God, yes.
That'll be,
Yeah. So they had a gathering for him today at Town Hall. It was a last minute thing that put together because didn't have a lot of time, being his last day is today.
Yeah,
Is there a position posted yet, or?
Not yet. They will be. So that's gonna be tough to fill. That's my own personal comment.
I agree.
Anyway, moving along, I'm gonna take one section out of order, just because they're in your package out of order. Is 101 Point Grove Road, pages 6 to 9.
Yeah,
And there are now 12 boats docked there, possibly more. It was tough to count because they were around the corner. but the fines have been issued by the code enforcement and continue to be issued. And we do have a meeting next week. Our new police chief, Bob Landis, has requested a meeting with John Goddard, who's the planner, Kyle Scott, who's the code enforcement officer, and myself to go over the whole, what the status is. So we'll be doing that next week. So you can read
Okay.
what's there. Anybody have any questions on? No?
No, if you're having the meeting, Dick, I mean, that's fine. See what comes out of it.
Yeah. So the next one starts sheets 10 through 20, which is 129 North Lake Ave.
Yep.
And there's some interesting information that came out. I sent out a couple copies of it, who are people who are on the original distribution with questions to DEP. Because if you recall, the last time the vote was that we should contact DEP, which I did. And DEP has come back and clearly stated that they sent, which I gave you copies of at the last meeting, a deficiency letter, their application deficiency letter. In other words, for the Chapter 91 license, there were deficiencies in the application. DEP cited those deficiencies. They had to be addressed, each and every one of them. No response was made by the owners. And so DEP closed it out and said the application is basically void. And they also have come back and said that they will get into this. They want conservation to take an official position, and they will get into it. They're up to their eyeballs. DEP is right now understaffed, but because there are 3 permanent structures in the lake with no right to be there, no Chapter 91 license, and we cannot, they agree, we cannot issue local permits to those. So they also, the structures violate the 600 square feet maximum, which is another point that DEP made in that letter. And so there's a lot of work to be done on the part of DEP and the owners to decide what to do next, because, and there are no building permits for those in the building department. And they would have been required because they are permanent structures with roofs, decks, etc. It's like a house in the water. So no, even though the applicant said that they lost those permits in the fire that they had at their house, there are no, the permits would have been in town hall in the building department, and there aren't any. So that's another problem.
Is that something that can be brought up when you're doing one-on-one point growth?
We probably can, because it's the same people. The planner's not really necessary, but we need somebody from conservation, and I'm hoping that since Dennis isn't going to be there, maybe Chris may be able to. I will contact Chris.
Okay.
So I'm just making myself a note for 101 and 129. Big asterisks. Call. Okay, I'll take that action.
Dick, this is Mike DeBay. I have a question.
Yes,
Based on the email that was sent back, it sounds like that was Cameron, I believe, that sent it back.
yes,
It sounded like, yeah, they realize it's a problem. They realize that these things are illegal the way they are, or whatever. But they sound like they're so buried. What are we gonna do? Leave it with DEP? Because I guess it belongs with them. But this has been going on for years.
well, the what do you call it? Kyle Scott, our zone and code enforcement.
Yeah.
So he's building and code enforcement. He has a stake in this too, and I briefed him. That's why he was looking for the permits.
Okay.
So we have to give him a chance
Give him a chance.
to come up to speed. Excuse me.
Okay. Thanks.
Was it ever established when those docks were actually built?
I think I did a while back, many meetings ago, research that through Google Earth Maps. And you can see when, when they appeared.
Probably soon after they built the new house.
No, they were actually there
They
before.
were there before, Scotty.
Absolutely.
Wow, wow.
Those docks have been on there longer than I've been on this committee. I know that.
Yeah.
Wow,
They've changed a little bit, but.
Yeah.
pretty fancy though.
They grew.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyway, that's the status of that action. I don't know that there's much that we can do. I guess the one thing we need to concur that Concom really has the ball for that DEP email, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So I've kept them in that loop. They have copies of all the emails that went to and from DEP. So, and Gene also checked into it. They do have dock stickers for LPP dock stickers. And one question I had, those really shouldn't exist because they can't be permitted under LPP. So do we have an action that any discussion on that aspect?
I thought
My only comment on it, Dick, is no one checks anything from Concom. You can send in anything you want and they just send them out. They don't come out to check that you are actually putting them in the way you say, check how big they are, how much, it's a very laborious task, I understand. And I believe they are starting to look into that, but prior,
Yes.
I think if you just put in for them, you got them.
And I think maybe there's one case where, we could probably help that because there's a lot of us that are in all three ponds. And so maybe when an application comes in, before that permit gets issued, it gets checked by, since Dennis is not here, gets checked by someone on lake management. What do you think about that?
I have a comment on that. Yeah, when I,
You got a comment? No, go ahead.
when I finish this inventory by waterfront property, she will have the data available to compare to anything new that comes in next year.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks, Norm.
It's taking.
I'd like
forever.
to mention too, that when I was over there recently, since the stickers didn't come out, I went over and said, where's the stickers? And she seemed to know quite a bit of information about the docks. So I found them, let's just say, I think they're tightening things up over there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So do we want to take any action regarding the stickers, recommending anything on those stickers that were issued for docks that should not have been
I
issued?
thought we already did that.
Yeah, I thought they were already rescinded.
Yeah.
No, they have not been
Comment, Dick, is that
rescinded.
we've kind of
They
got
have
our
not been,
hands slapped.
go ahead, Norm.
They have not been rescinded. They have never rescinded a dock sticker before.
It's always the first time.
Yeah,
So would we like to suggest that Concom look at rescinding those dock stickers since they're, since the docks are in violation and can't really be licensed under LPP and can't even be licensed under Chapter 91, and we can reference the letter from DEP saying they can't be licensed under Chapter 91. And I believe
There was also a letter from Dennis Clark in that packet that said they would not be issued for 2021.
Right, and they unfortunately were.
okay, so they, I guess we respectfully request that they get rescinded.
I thought at the last meeting, we decided that if they were out, they were out. We try to clean it up next year.
Well, except for these,
Say that?
I think what we were talking about was the more general case.
Yeah, not, this is one that should not have been issued per Concom, and it got issued by error. And so the question, I believe, for what Eric is saying is, do we want to give our input to Concom?
Yeah.
That they do in fact rescind those?
I can deliver that message at the next meeting.
I think we should do it. If we're gonna do it, we should do it with a motion and send it officially.
Yep, I agree.
Then they can talk about it at the meeting.
Okay,
We just need to be consistent.
Right.
Yeah, it's just by the time all this happens, it'll be the end of the season and we'll have
Yeah.
gone through another year.
Yeah.
And next year, we'll make some other mistake. And I mean, sorry, I'm a little frustrated because we've been talking about this for at least 5 years.
More than that.
More than
It's in
that.
clear violation of LPP. It's in clear violation of Chapter 91. There's letters from DEP saying it's in violation. There's all this stuff. And even with all of that, we still can't manage to do anything about it as a town. That's very disappointing.
So do we have,
So
Some
Dick,
kind
I'll
of a
make the
motion?
motion. This is Mike DeVay. I'll make the motion that we send a letter to Comcom recommending they rescind the licenses for 21.
Right.
And don't issue until I check to make sure what they got for an application is accurate.
mhm.
And we can either send it or not.
So I'll second the motion.
All right, so we have Mike DeBay made the motion. Who seconded?
I will second Eric here.
Eric,
Eric. And all in favor?
aye,
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? It's unanimous, and I'll run down to affirm it. Norm,
aye,
Mike Coombs,
aye,
Malcolm's not here. Mike DeBay,
Aye.
myself, I, Scotty,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
truly unanimous. Okay. So the next thing is the lake level is up to 225.0, which you have a copy of that sheet. It actually went up a couple tenths more from the sheet that you have, which was a measurement from the day before. We've since had another 1.1 inches of rain yesterday. I haven't gone out to see what's come down already today, but so far we've got about 9 inches of rainfall over the last roughly a week. So it's high now.
It's very
What's
high. I
being-
was the one that took the readings and today I took it again just to make sure because I took it yesterday. And it was high, it has been high. We've had a
We're-
beaver
we're-
dam in
we're-
Connecticut.
We're at 225.0, right?
Yes.
Correct. That was at about 1:30 this afternoon. Around 1 o'clock range, the beaver dams in Connecticut, at least one, maybe two were knocked down by either DPW from Suffield or private contractor. I don't know who they brought in.
It was
But
a
they took
private,
them down and the water flow is extremely high now and
Good.
it's flowing. It was not flowing prior to that.
right.
Is it going out though?
Yes.
Well, it's going as far as I walked the canal all the way down to where it goes back under Quarry Road to the west, south of Phelps Road. It
Yeah.
was flowing hard into the woods there and I couldn't follow it any farther, so I let it go at that point.
Yeah.
But the water flow is moving very fast. But there's a lot of water to move because it was backed up out the Cannon Brook, out the Cannon Farm, out the Goose Pond, and all the way back to the lake. The weir gates have been at least 6 inches to 8 inches underwater for a week.
And
I'm just wondering with all this rain coming in the next day, should we have the weir gates closed or not? Is it gonna reverse into the lake or not?
No, I don't think it's
No.
reverse
No.
at this point. We're so high. The other thing is, basically we're within about 2 inches of having to implement no wake.
Correct.
Okay. And,
You know-
and our DPW guys went out and took out the dams that were above the weir gates. So the ones that were below Suffield, DPW had hired a contractor to take care of because they were busy cleaning up trees that were down. And our guys went out and, removed them with a backhoe.
Uh-huh.
So at any rate,
All I know is I'm watching my frontage disappear. That's all
oh
I know.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, at 225, we're basically within 2.5 inches of having to go no wake, and within
Right.
5 inches of having to do no boating.
the good news, depending on what we get today, the good news is tomorrow, now they've downrated the amount of rain predicted from the hurricane in our area.
Yeah.
So that's good news, because originally they were talking up to 3 inches here, which would have definitely put it way over. Would have been not only no wake, it'd be no boating whatsoever.
Right. We're now, they're looking at an inch or a little bit above, and now that we've finally got the ability to have outward flow, and it is flowing as you've told us. Thanks, Mike. Maybe we can get it down far enough to not be an issue by the weekend. That would
Yeah.
be good.
Yeah. The next one is the algae results from Ken and Eric. You can probably better comment on that.
Sure. Sorry, I didn't actually prepare a discussion on that, but I certainly can.
Just general.
Yeah, in general, things continue to look good post-treatment. We've got, we have some mix of things, but we're not seeing cyanobacteria. Still not seeing cyanobacteria, so that's great. As Ken says, with these treatments, the second year is the one that really tells you whether you got it. And so far, so good. Where I've been doing depth sampling, we still have some oxygen depleted water at the bottom, but the oxygen situation is much better, which is part of the reason we're not having the cyanobacteria problems. But we're not seeing cyanobacteria.
That's really
Of
good.
course, we're also not seeing zooplankton, but that's the alewife.
Yeah. So, if we're done there,
Probably next week, I'll probably do another sampling.
Good.
Probably with Rick, I'll go out and do another sampling set and another set of depth profiles, probably next week, one morning.
Eric, will that be before the CRC meeting?
No, I've got a presentation ready for the CRC meeting, which is on Tuesday, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, no, I won't be able to do any of that before then, but I'll have the latest lab results also.
Perfect.
And I put together a little presentation for the CRC meeting. That's a virtual meeting, right?
I believe so. We're still trying to figure out where we can meet.
Right.
But it will maybe a combo.
Okay,
Zoom.
all right, so I'll do it by Zoom, that's fine.
Okay.
okay. So the next thing is the jet skis, jet boat rental, which several different inputs on that came to me. And I did send them out to Doug Cameron of the Office of Fishing and Boating Access, since they own the 2 ramps where they're going to be launching those boats. And basically, he said it's prohibited if any transactions take place, whether it be exchange of money, contract, training. And he actually contacted the jet ski one and has also now contacted the jet boat one. So both, about both subjects, jet skis and jet boats, or boats in general, renting, that would use the ramp as their facility to launch and, train people and whatever. So.
So basically, he contacted him and said, "You're not allowed to do this."
Right. So he took care of it. So if anybody sees
What they
anything,
said, I mean, I'm looking at their ads, right? It's like, hey, they really went whole hog on this.
yeah,
Dick, this is Mike DeBay. Based on their emails, or at least the ones I read, it sounded to me like they were seriously looking at whether they could do all the exchanges off the ramp property or off the state property. And that would make them no different than any other boat coming in.
That's correct. If they do nothing on the ramps, if they do it on town property, they have to get a permit from the town to sell.
Yeah,
But if they do it at their homes, and then it just comes to, they just come and launch, then it's not violating the, that CMR, that 320 CMR.
right.
So the question I would have is, you just said the word "they" just come and launch. So in other words, is the picture that the boat rental company signs a deal someplace else, and then the boat rental company launches the boat and hands the keys over to the renter?
Do not know the answer to that.
So my question would be, if they did that, is that permissible? Because that sounds to me like the boat rental company is performing a commercial activity.
Yeah,
Where if the boat rental company rents me a boat and trailer and I tow it over and launch it, okay, now that's the same as a private boat owner. I happen to be renting the boat instead of owning it. But if the boat rental company is doing the launching, I would think that would violate this again. So let's ask that question specifically.
okay. I will,
Yes, that's a good point.
yeah. I will get that to
Eric,
Doug.
That's exactly where I was at. And when I read it, I got the impression the guy from the rental place was gonna figure out a way to do everything off-site. And the other person who rents it would end up driving the boat in and out and takes us out of the picture on it.
Yeah.
Right.
They may not want somebody who doesn't know anything about trailing a boat. That may,
I understand that, but then at that point, it's a commercial operation from state land.
yes,
In other words, if I'm the boat rental company launching the boat and handing you the keys, I'm using state land to operate a commercial business.
yeah,
If I'm the boat rental company and I rent the boat and trailer to Joe, and Joe drives it to the ramp and launches, to me, that's Joe, private citizen, launching a boat that he rented instead of a boat he owns. That's fine.
yeah,
I think the issue becomes if the professional boat rental company is using the state property for commercial purposes.
and that's what I will send that, and I'll
So,
copy you on.
so let's just clarify, and let them, maybe they say, no, that's okay. Okay, fine. Or
Yeah.
maybe they say, oh, no, you're right. They can't do that. In which case they should tell them, no, you can't do that.
Hey,
Is
hey,
the
Dick,
launch and the retrieval part of the transaction?
Right.
That's a good point, though, is retrieval is another one.
Right. It's all part and parcel to the same thing, because I think if I understand the spirit of the law, the spirit is that we don't want state property being used for let's call it personal commercial gain.
And it's not we, it's the access board that controls that.
Right. No, I meant we, meaning the citizenry.
Yeah,
In other words, this is a state facility that was paid for by tax dollars and it's for public use. It's not for commercial use.
not for commercial use. That's correct.
So if that is the spirit of the law, then I would think it would violate the spirit for a commercial company to launch their boat there for the purposes of renting the boat, which is what they'd be doing if they launched it and handed me the keys.
Yeah,
Even though I signed the rental agreement someplace else, they're still using the state facility for their commercial purposes.
yeah.
And I think that's exactly what the spirit of the law is there to prevent.
Dick,
Yeah,
this is Deb. I'd like to make sure that they also know the size of boats that can come on the lake.
Right.
If they're renting not only jet skis, but speedboats.
yeah.
Yeah, it looked like, it's a good point. It looked like they were talking about, they were talking about smaller boats. I didn't see anything there that looked like, it'd be over a 26 footer. But you're right, they might as well know.
Yeah,
I think there's a big question because it would seem to me that if that's the spirit of the law, then no, you can't come as a commercial company and launch a boat at the state dock and then hand the keys off to somebody who's paying you to do that.
yeah. We'll find out.
Yep.
Okay. The next one is the tournament rules and the fishery status, because that was our discussion
Just
last
one quick
week.
thing, Deb, the
Yeah,
boats they talk about are 19 footers.
Okay, well, it'd also be good for them to know you can't launch
Yeah,
anything over
anything
the limit.
that's a good point, Deb.
Class
Yeah,
one. Yeah, it's
Thanks.
gotta be class 1.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what the ad says now. So the next thing you could have is, renter B says, well, I've got this 30-foot yacht that I'm gonna rent, houseboat. So, okay, so they have to be, I guess the way we put that is the boat, all boats on Congamon, regardless of who puts it there, must be compliant with the town bylaws. That's probably the best way to cover that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks, Flex.
Okay, with CMR and town bylaws, because there are things in the CMRs also in 323 CMR that
Right.
regulates boats.
Page 34 email says Doug Cameron explained that if any business is conducted on site ramps, including payment is prohibited. If they bring already paid for a boat and an operator to the ramp and drop them off, I don't think that would be prohibited, but we have to check with Doug. So this is the one, I suspect that would be prohibited.
Yeah. Okay. And just FYI, since you just mentioned Doug, they're going to start work on the fishing pier Monday.
Right.
And so they will be limiting access to the fishing pier. The guys are going to work with people and they're going to work from the far end in. So as long as people behave, they'll let them fish, up to, they'll rope it off, block it off. And if anybody gets in the way, Doug was there, I was with them. So it was Doug, myself, and the contractor, and on Tuesday. And Doug said, it's up to you. You own the dock, the fishing pier for the duration of the project. If you want to allow people and they behave, if you want to throw them off, that's up to you.
Is
Oh.
that on the, is that on the town website, Dick, so people will know that?
No.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
that the repairs are gonna go on this week?
they're going to start, but again, they're allowing people to fish. They just aren't going to be able to work on the very end.
Okay,
If they change their minds, we'll put on the website and say, it's keep out. So anyway, the next thing is the tournament rules and the fishery. And I had another email besides the one that you have in front of you, also a discussion late today. One of the gentlemen who was on that original email, Harold Cody, made another suggestion, which I think is pretty good, pretty smart, is that to release the fish, state that they have to release them from their bag full of water, full of lake water, past the last buoys. So that puts them into deep water, and it's cooler water, and they would not be able to drop them off the end of any of the docks. And he's an avid fisherman. Chris Sparks, who was one of the authors of what came to us, also agreed with that. He sees no problem whatsoever having the guys go out and take the bag of fish out and release them and then come back and load their boat. So what's everybody's take on that? And the other thing that Mike DeBay did, I'll let him talk, but he got in touch with Fisheries and Wildlife.
I'll be more than happy to talk, Dick, but are we gonna close the issue of the rule changes? We should be voting on whether or not we want to change those rules or not, because there's 3 basic rules you're changing, right? The
Yeah, we
noise,
want to, this would be to add what I just said. Modify it slightly from what you have in front of you. In other words, to tell them where to drop them off, not
Yep.
off the end of the docks,
yep,
but after the last buoys.
Last buoy, yep.
How does
Saying
everybody
then-
feel about that?
Are we saying, Dick, that the fisherman comes in with his boat, takes the boat, takes the fish out of the boat, does the official weigh-in, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
and then puts them back in the bag or puts them back?
they normally put them
Bag?
back in the bag, and they put water, the same water, because there's a tank that they work from, and it's got a pump in it.
Right, so that,
Yeah.
but I'm saying, so they take the fish out of whatever, weigh them, then put them back into the tank, and then they're gonna go back out in the middle of the lake to put the
To
fish in,
release them, yes,
and then come back into the dock again.
yes. Well, they
People go crazy.
don't come into the dock. They come into the shore. They don't come into the boarding docks.
Oh, okay, all right.
They beach on the shore. They're
If
not
I'm wrong,
allowed to,
doesn't almost every fisherman come back with some fish? Most
Yeah.
of them come back with something, right?
yes.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
okay.
they go home before they, if all you've got is a minnow, you go home.
Just wondering.
So, yeah, they don't clog the boarding docks.
Okay, that was my concern.
Yeah. And
Thanks
this,
for
I think,
clarifying.
I think it actually helps that because it spreads them out.
Yeah,
well, Dick, if the fishermen are recommending these rules, it seems to me logical sense is just accept them and add them into our rules then.
Yeah,
I
Yep.
mean, it doesn't make any difference to me, and it solves, the first rule changes, they suggested changes the noise problem down there,
Right.
or helps resolve it.
yeah,
And this will help answer the fish, hurting the fish, banging them around while you're getting them in and out of the tank to measure them and all the rest of that.
yeah. So do we have a motion then to accept the?
I'll make a motion to accept those rule changes as, with the additional writing for putting them back out past the buoy.
Yeah,
I'll second that.
that was Mike D and Paul seconded,
Yes.
and all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
opposed, abstain, unanimous. So I'll run down the names. Norm,
Aye.
Mike C,
Aye.
Mike D,
Aye.
me, I, Scotty,
aye,
Deb,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, verified. Okay. So that gets us through there.
Okay, do you want me to say anything about the fisheries?
Yes, please.
Okay, I sent it to Dick and I sent it out to everyone. I got an email back with some couple of graphs from Jason Stolarski. He's from Fisheries and Wildlife. And he told me they hadn't done a count on largemouth bass population in Congamon since 2018, mainly because they had been tracking it since back 10 years earlier, and it hasn't changed. He said they'll probably try to get one in the spring again just to verify that one more time, but the numbers have been consistent. And when you look at it, the number of tournaments we've had since 2010 has been pretty consistent too. They had 78 tournaments and 10, 80 and 11, 72 and 12. That goes all the way up to 2021 where we had 84. So this year was the highest scheduled, but it's not much difference. The graphs he sent, when you look at them, they're a little confusing, but basically they use a fish count and they put it in it's per time spent fishing. Because what they do is they do it at a lot of different lakes all over the state. And how much time they spend there makes a difference on how much they catch. So they have some kind of fudge factors that they use for that, but they use it consistently across the state. And the largemouth bass population is basically run pretty stable the whole time. And even when they start comparing different size fish, it's running pretty consistent also right along it. So as far as they're concerned, we do not have any kind of overfishing or taking the fish out of the lake where they're not replenishing. And that was the data they had at this point. So I sent it out to everyone so you could all look at it.
Yeah,
The,
it's good that it's got 10 years, basically, that they've been doing this for 10 years and haven't seen any impact. That's good news.
so the only thing I thought about is grass, where he should have picked something other than a black background. It may look nice when it's on a computer screen or something, but when you're trying to print it out, it doesn't give you any kind of readable stuff.
Correct.
It
Yeah,
it uses up a lot of,
A lot of ink.
toner, yeah, or, yeah.
one cartridge per. So, anyway,
Yep.
thank you, Mike. All right, so that takes care of that. Now, the next thing was, oh, I gotta
Dick,
go up a page here.
Dick,
Just bear with-
Before you
Yes.
move off the fisherman thing, I just had a question. Somebody the other
Yeah.
day, a couple of days ago, either on Facebook or on Friends of Congamon or whatever, was all upset because evidently one of the fishermen got a lure caught in their pontoon boat seats, ripped the seats, and the person was upset, said, $200 worth of damage or better. If all of these tournaments are permitted so that on any given day, you kind of know, the fishermen that come from certain, the tournament, let's say, is there any recourse if somebody were to see something like that happen? and then go
They'd have
back
to
the
get,
tournament
they
person?
need it. They need to have the number on the boat, which we can look up because every boat that launches while the ramps are attended is logged,
I think that's something.
every single boat.
Deb, you might want to bring up at a CRC meeting, because I'm not sure who it was, but they were upset. I know that.
So, you know what, the other thing is that, the tournaments are very serious about wanting to make sure that they preserve their access and that they have, that they're viewed well by public. So I think even if you don't have the exact boat, which is absolutely great if you have the exact boat, I think if you could just find out who ran the tournament and contact them,
Right.
might get some help.
Right, that was, basically, that was my question. The other thing is, we brought this up, at the last meeting, when we had the gentleman there from the state, representing the state. But I'm just curious, do most of us agree that a lot of the speeding on the lake is actually the bass fishermen ripping across the lake?
No,
We don't?
no,
Really?
no.
I think, Scotty, I
When you
think
talk
that early in the
speeding-
morning, the answer to that is yes, early in the morning. But the rest of the day, if you took a total of the whole day, the answer would be no, because late afternoon, at night, it's not bass fishermen running up and down the lake like crazy.
It's everybody. It's everybody.
Scotty, do you mean on the weekends before 10 a.m.?
No, I mean after 10 o'clock.
Oh,
After 10 o'clock, I mean, keep in mind, I'm right here in the middle of the middle lake. I've seen lots of bass fishermen going across that lake, coming back from the Saunders end of the lake, coming back, trust me, going 65, 70 miles an hour.
But again, there are people who are in tournaments and non-tournament bass fishermen that live on the lake as well.
Oh, yeah.
And the one way that's going to stop real fast is if the police come out at night, because it's not just bass boats.
This is a nighttime, this is not a nighttime issue. I'm not picking on the fishermen, but it is.
I watch jet
They're
skiers.
high performance boats.
I watch jet skiers in the dark,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
which aren't even
Well,
allowed.
Yeah, right. Right, the jet skis are not allowed in the dark, but Scotty, so Scotty, you're not talking about the prior to 10 AM. You're talking about, like,
1, 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoons.
got it.
I see it. I see it all the time. I'm not making a deal about it, but I see it. That's all I'm
And the
saying.
way that will stop fast is one of the things that I did is I cut out the police log was in the paper a couple nights ago, and it's from a weekend back, and everything was warnings. Speeding through there were a whole slew of them speeding through the no wake zones at the sandbar, and they all got warnings, everybody. Not one ticket given out.
Yeah, and I guess especially for things like, especially for, real safety, big deal things like blowing through the no wake zone at the sandbar. Yeah,
Right.
I think we'd feel better if there were tickets issued for that, because that, there's a lot of people get put in harm's way by that behavior.
And besides that, if you operate a boat, you don't have to have a license, which is unfortunate, but to know what the word slow no wake is, and it says 5 miles per hour max.
Right.
And I don't see
And-
that issue at all with fishermen. I only see, whether it's, it's the largest part of the lake. When they go ripping across from one side to the other, come around the island and shoot right across. And look, if they ever start giving tickets out here, things will slow down. That's all.
Absolutely.
And not just for them, for anybody.
Everybody.
Hey, Dick, can I make a recommendation that we have
Yeah.
another meeting with the brand new police chief and voice our concerns?
Yeah, I think that would be a good
Yeah.
idea. I think excellent. He needed time to get his feet wet
Mhm.
as
Yep.
chief, no pun intended. But I will ask him to join us. Maybe he can join us for the next meeting.
That would be great.
Hey, Dick,
Yes.
you mentioned, mentioning this at the CRC meeting about the seats being ripped, get the boat number. Who do they report it
Yeah.
to?
I don't know, just something I physically saw it online. So did my wife.
Right, no,
My
but I
wife
mean, who do
My
we
wife brought it to my
report?
attention.
Once they get the boat number, who do they report it to?
They could call,
It has to be the police chief. He's the harbor master and he's.
that's
know,
right.
Okay,
he
so
can do
not,
anything.
They call the police department to dispatch.
Well, I think
569-5348.
in most cases, Deb, I think would really, somebody comes out and finds either a lure in the boat or a rip in the thing and they know where it came from. I've over the years, I've taken lures off my dock many times.
right?
Yep.
I don't think
And off
they're
my-
always
off
sitting
my
there seeing
lines.
this happen,
Yeah.
There's
What was that
also-
number again for
Right.
dispatch?
569-5348.
Okay, thanks.
Dick,
Yeah.
a question, when there's a tournament running, I'm presuming, since you wound up having to sign off on the tournaments, that you've got the name and a contact number for whoever the organizer of the tournament is, right?
Absolutely. There's a name and telephone number for every tournament.
Yeah, so I think if somebody has something like you're saying, a RIP seat, which is easily $200, okay, yeah, I wasn't there to see the boat. And the tournament organizers may step in and help them. They probably legally don't have to if you don't have proof of who it was, but they want good relationships.
Right. And the way to get it is to get the information to PD. Then there's a log on it. That's excuse me, that starts the process
Okay,
because we're not enforcement.
right. But I mean, it's clear to me that the tournament organizers are very serious about maintaining a good relationship with the lakes and the people who live on the lakes.
Yes.
And they, I think they will police their own you know, people who are in the tournament who misbehave, I think they will police that, and I think they will try to help out homeowners who experience problems because of it.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty good for the weekends, but during the week, there's probably 15, 20 bass fishermen on this lake. They're not in tournaments.
Sure. Right.
And they're not professional bass fishermen. They're people on pontoon boats with 12 kids fishing off of them. You know,
yeah.
fishing licenses. They just drift around and fish. So they don't.
Mhm.
But
Yep. You
the
you
best
can't
we
cover everything.
You don't have to have a bass boat to fish.
exactly.
Well, any help is better than
Agreed.
anything would be a plus.
Yeah,
Because it is something, as you know, that was brought up. And so anything that good that comes out of that would be a plus.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
you know, right now, like the first thing we talked about was changes that they're making to the tournament rules, you know, to address the very valid concerns brought up by homeowners who live right there and are being disturbed in the mornings.
yeah,
And they're making changes to fix that. I think it, you know, so it clearly shows they're not just talking, they're willing to do things to try and make the situation better.
yeah.
Yep.
And our
And then-
vote that we had, all they wanted to do was have us vote on their proposal. And they are making the flip charts, you know, for the starting numbers.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yep.
I think, Scotty, why you see them at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, I used to fish the tournament trail for a while, is you have to be back at that dock at 2:30 or 3. If you're there at 3:01, you
You're
can't.
out.
So I think they're racing back to, you know, get that last, you know, couple of.
Yeah. Oh, I'm
That's
not
the time you'll see
questioning
it.
not questioning it, but I think we all would agree that, and Dick put it best, they wrote a lot of warnings last weekend over the
Yeah.
4th of July weekend, but where's the ticket process? And
Yeah.
whatever happened to the radar guns they used to use years ago?
And they did get 2 jet skiers who were doing 60 or 65 and ticketed them, I think to the tune of, if I remember hearing, it was something like $250 each.
Uh-huh. Well,
And
that's good.
yeah, I mean, and when you think about it, remember what we perceive as speeding, the lake speed limit is 45,
Right.
which is pretty damn fast on Congamon. When you think of it, it's narrow, you know, it's long and narrow. So that's perception may be a problem there too, but a radar gun tells the truth. What are you actually doing?
And that can only come from the police chief, so.
Right, right. He can
Decision.
tell them that they have to.
Right.
All right. Next was the boat census. Nothing earth shaking about 2021. I emailed the summary because you can't, if we put it up on the screen, you wouldn't be able to read it. But just to give you an idea, the total boats in 2019 were 877, 2020, in 2020 were 1091, and 2021 is 1054. So we had the big jump when COVID hit, and we basically leveled off. I consider personally, whether it's 1091 or 1054, there's a lot of people are on vacations, take their boats with them. They're in and out. So to me, those two numbers are about the same. Anybody else wants to comment on it, but we didn't have any major change in the demographics of the boats that are on the lake, you know, be they powered or propelled by arms or feet. So
Dick, I'd like to say something about, I did a little breakout here on the middle pond,
yeah,
which obviously is the big one. There were 127 total vessels. There's 164 canoes, really kayaks, 164 kayaks on the middle pond alone, which is a huge number.
yeah,
So an interesting scenario, just for what it's worth. If on the middle pond, there are 207 fixed and or floating docks on the middle pond. If you break out the boats for PBJ, Louis B, Saunders, and you just go with the boats from Connecticut and Massachusetts side of the middle pond. And I only went with pontoon boats, which are more than power, and power boats. There's 231 power and or pontoon boats on the middle lake.
Yeah,
And there's 207 docks. So it's not like there's all these crazy amounts of boats on everybody's dock. There are docks with no boats, and yes, there are docks with multiple boats. But to me, sometimes I wonder if we're really being honest with ourselves when I say, yes, there's 164 kayaks or canoes on the middle pond, but not one of those is in the water. We're all up on the shore.
no, it's just to know what it's demographics, you know,
Yeah.
how many are powered boats and how many are.
Right, right. All I'm saying, it's not as crazy maybe as everybody thinks it is, you know?
Well,
What
it's
we,
still,
what we do have is we have a ton of pontoon boats on all three lakes. And
Yep.
they're much larger in size than smaller power boats that we had historically.
yeah,
That is a fact.
so,
That's all I'm gonna say on it.
all right, so we'll move on. The next one is the conflict of interest. Everybody got a packet. It included social media, conflict of interest, I think telephone, and whatever, computer systems. There were, I think, 4 pages that you had to read and sign and do your conflict of interest test online. So I've gotten most of them. You who have not done them, you know who you are. Please
What
get
about
them.
what about the 47 pages on open meetings?
What was that?
What about the thing I got here of open meetings?
Yeah, you
Open
gotta
meeting,
sign the back
open
of that.
meeting law guide 47.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you gotta sign the back of it.
right.
Okay.
All right.
Am I supposed to read 47 pages?
You can scan it. If you're a fast
You not
reader,
only have to read it, Scotty, you gotta understand it.
yep. And you're gonna take a test on it.
Right, right. In
Yeah.
your case, Scotty, there's a test.
Yeah.
Right.
Dick, is there anybody that you got the paperwork from that missed the piece someplace?
I'm sorry, that what?
Is there anyone that turned in paperwork that had like one missing piece or something? Or is it just people that didn't do any
No,
of
it's
it?
just people didn't, there are some that have not turned them in at all.
Okay,
And you
Okay.
have to repeat the conflict of interest training.
Yeah, that's annual
Yep. It's every 2 years, I thought, but
or
I
2 years,
thought it said
whatever.
every 2.
When they tell us.
yeah, exactly. When they tell us, we do it.
Yep.
So correct me if I'm wrong. There's 2 forms that need to be signed and sent back.
Four.
Wrong.
Four.
Sounds
Wrong.
like 4.
For and the conflict of interest thing.
Yeah. They're all in that package. I cut down 3 trees.
I believe it. All right.
Okay, next. The rest of it's kind of comes under the term other. There's an article that was on about the police dispatch we're going to have a regional police dispatch with Westfield. That was approved both by Southwick and Westfield. And you can read that. That's page 56. And 57 through 67 is a lot of information on Carvana. You've seen a lot of that in the newspapers. I'm not sure how many of you get the Westfield paper and the Springfield paper. I get both, and I get the Penny Saver. So when I see these things, I usually copy them and make them available so you can read them at your will, or throw them away. So I guess the only other thing is, does anybody else have anything that's not on there?
Yes.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Well, not on that. But
Well, CRC wants to know what's going on with the buoys. We want to help out. Michelle said, can we get an update on the buoys, please?
Don't have a design for, and that's so far down the list, I'll tell you, to put lights on buoys, sorry. I'm going to be perfectly honest. We don't have the money. I don't have the time to design it.
Why
And-
would you design it, Dick? Why can't we find some that are?
Because nobody
already-
makes one that somebody can swing a bat at. And that's the problem. We got morons that swing bats at
Have you seen that?
$350 lights.
I haven't seen that. I've seen a boat hit it, but I haven't seen anybody. hit it
I
with a
could
baseball.
show you all the damage that occurred when we used to have lights on there. I'm not going to discuss it because I'm beyond BS
Oh.
with it.
Oh, it has to do with lake safety, Dick.
No, it doesn't. If people slowed down like they're supposed to at night, it wouldn't be a problem. We had one go right through and totally destroyed in daylight the green buoy off the island, totaled it, fractured the concrete in the bottom of it and kept going. That's $400 gone.
And
Didn't need a
CRC
light. It needs somebody with brains.
People cannot see at night if they're not familiar with the buoys, where they are. Plus the buoys are moving.
If you're going at headway speed, you will bump off them. You will not destroy them.
I think if we could come up with lights that would survive the punishment, it would be a good thing to have lights on the
Yes,
buoys. But
agree.
so far, we have not been able to find any, and the stuff that has been brought up as, oh, why don't you try this, are not Coast Guard approved. They don't flash that's required. We can't just put any old light on the buoy. You have to put a light that's Coast Guard approved. And I think if somebody could find a Coast Guard approved buoy that looks like it would take the pummeling that Dick is saying was dished out in the past, then we could do that. But if somebody just wants to spend money and put a light on a buoy, we could do that and see what happens. And then if it gets
Eric.
destroyed, then it's destroyed.
Eric, no, Eric.
Okay,
$400 a piece.
so go ahead. So
And the
Deb,
one
what-
that won't break are thousands of dollars a piece, thousands, the ones that
Okay.
won't break.
Right.
All right, well, tell you what, then what CRC will do, or at least
Mm.
I will present it to CRC, is that we do some research as well, because I know, Dick, you're very busy, as is everybody else. And if we can find something, we'll bring it forth to LMC and make sure that it meets with the approval, all right?
That's fine.
That'd be helpful.
And then my advice would be, if we find one, try one.
Right.
You know, don't go and buy 10. Even if you can get the money, try one and let's see what happens.
Yep.
How about
If-
2 by the sandbar?
Yeah, okay, too. But I think if we could get lights that would survive, it would definitely be a good thing to have lights on.
And,
the
and
roof.
just in general, you're talking Coast Guard approved lights are in the range of $400 a piece. And then whatever you use as a guard to protect it.
Right, I understand.
So
Yep.
probably 2 lights, $1,000 bill is my guess.
I understand.
Are we gonna try to tighten up the buoys over by the sandbar? Kind of a mess there right now.
Well, they were adjusted. Rick Wylot was gonna go out. He's doing a lot better. He was gonna go out and see if he could adjust them.
Yeah, they appear to be way off.
Was only 40 or 50 feet off the edge of the sandbar at the beginning of the sandbar over the weekend. Way
Yeah.
off.
They also had to fix where the, that's another problem is we get idiots that think it's funny to move buoys around.
Yeah, that's
With
what
their
somebody's
boats.
doing.
Oh, yeah.
And Dick, would it work to have the dive team at some point go in there and put the screw-in anchors in instead of the manhole covers so that they don't get moved?
Right, but that even we even have an issue there because we have to figure out how to be able to find that when the cables get cut, which is what happens when they drive through them. The cable snaps. Now the ice spars stay up top, attached to nothing, and you got to figure out where is the screw that's in 6 feet of muck.
Yeah, I understand.
Problem with the chain on it. So believe me, we've come a long way with this. Most of the problem is idiots that think it's funny. And I'll tell you, if it were out on the Cape and the harbor patrol out there saw you doing something with a buoy, they would probably slap the cuffs on you because it's a federal offense. It's not just a people, if few people got their pictures in the post office, it'd probably stop real fast.
Just think it'd be a good idea if we could bring them back in closer. They're way out into the middle lake.
Understand, but we didn't have Rick for what, 2-3 months?
Yep.
Yeah, his finger didn't look too good.
No, no.
Hey, Deb, can you give an update on the boat parade?
Sure can. The weather looked lousy. We were thinking of canceling it. We didn't. The band canceled because they didn't want to get electrocuted. A bunch of sissies.
Yeah, right.
And we said, gather a little before 5 rather than at 4, because there weren't, the Graves' granddaughter wasn't going to sing because she doesn't do a cappella. So I was kind of worried because at about 10 of 5, there was like 3 boats. Then all of a sudden they all came in at like 5 o'clock. We had our bugle boy do a national song, Steve Ferrari, and then read out the rules. People followed them. They went around and they went around
good.
almost the whole lake. There was about
Did
20,
really good.
there were 22 boats. Yeah. No water balloons. It was cold enough. People weren't shooting water guns or anything else. So I really
was there.
appreciate, yes, I appreciate Scotty and Ginny having us on their boat so we could be in the parade as well.
Yeah, it definitely was not a nice boating day. People with ski parkas on.
Yeah. So we got a lot of emails and notifications from people how much they appreciated that it went all around the the middle pond.
Yes.
Yeah, there was quite a few people out on the docks waving and screaming and everything. It was you guys did a great job.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yep.
I appreciate all the help that Dick does for getting us the permits, and Michelle did all the planning. So I just was the announcer.
So anything else, anybody?
Yeah, I just got one thing to-
I have 2
Good
things.
news. Good news. The Montori dock situation between Montori and Kelly's over on our side of the lake with the right of way. The boats are gone. The docks are out. So
Okay.
sometimes a letter from the harbor master that went, or conservation that went out to these people, sunk in and scared them enough to take the stuff out. Been moved and the docks are gone.
Excellent.
Wow.
So that's a start. That's the start.
Great.
But we've got a lot of those right of ways over here, especially on our side of the lake.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Anything else, anybody?
Did we get an update from Norm on the conservation, or there was no
No
conservation?
Concom meeting.
Oh, okay.
Dick, I've got 2 things.
Yeah.
Did the town put out swim area buoys?
No.
Okay, I had one show up at the end of Veteran Street, and a day later it moved around a little bit, and then I guess it went home.
And there are
here.
no buoys that I know of that are permitted, and they have to be permitted. So if anybody sees, I know they're the ones that are out on the sandbar area with buoys, swim buoy that are out there. They were put out by probably the owner of, I'm not sure who owns it now, of the one on the Connecticut side. There's 2 buoys over there. Maybe 3. And that may have been one that swam elsewhere. Don't know. Because there was one that was, the other day I was watching it head north. There's a pretty good wind out of the south, and it was cruising at a pretty good clip to the north.
Like I said, the one on North Pond disappeared. I don't know, it floated away.
Huh.
There's more swim buoys this year than we've had in the past.
So
Yeah.
it's a private buoy.
Yeah, and you can't have private buoys. They have to be registered.
The other thing was the police patrol was out, and I noticed the sheriff's boat tagging along behind them.
Yeah, they're training.
What will be their intention?
They eventually will be doing some patrols.
Are they gonna coordinate with the town and the environmental guys?
Yes, it's all done through, the whole thing's done through Southwick Police,
Yeah, that was from what, Hampden County or something? What did we do?
Hamden County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah, Sheriff's Department. Yep.
So when we talk to the new chief, we should probably address that.
Sure. He's already made inroads to getting some additional help on the lake.
Be surprised, by the way, just the fact that they were out there. People were saying, who are these people? We got more police out here. That's good.
Yeah. So, anything else?
Dick, I don't know if it was last meeting or the meeting before, but you asked about some volunteers to meet with some people, like 4 from ours and all that. Is there any date for that meeting?
You mean LMC, DEP, Concom?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, because Concom doesn't have anybody now, right?
Well, and the other problem is that we wanted to resolve as much of the details on the outstanding issues before we sit down with DEP.
Okay. Okay,
You know, we want to get our ducks in order.
okay. I was just curious if there was a date, that's all.
No, no.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
I make a motion to adjourn. Mike Coombs.
Okay.
Second that. I'll second. Scotty will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey,
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous? Night all.
good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.